Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Ask JP. I'm your host for today, Jerry Garrison, and today we have a very interesting topic is the negative effects of social media on youth, and I'm just going to let my panel introduce themselves. Starting with you.
Hi, my name is Makasi.
Hi, my name is Michelle.
Hi, my name is Susan.
Hey, yo, I'm Angel.
Hi, I'm Eva.
Hello, my name is Lydia.
Okay, welcome everyone. So I'm just going to jump right in. How long do each of you stay on social media? I'm not gonna ask if you have social media because I know the answer to that question. But how long, on an average, in a day, how many hours do you think? You're already nodding your head like. How many hours in a day do you think you stay on social media? Let's start with you, Makasi.
Well, like maybe like 2 hours, but like in general, but like I break in like 30 minutes.
Okay, Makasi says 2 hours. I'm not sure about that, but how about you, Michelle?
I'm pretty sure like I spend a lot, so probably 42 hours.
Wow. And to the back, Eva?
I would say my daily average is probably like. Is Netflix included?
No.
No. Okay. So like.
But let's say Instagram, what we have, Facebook, Snapchat,
Okay.
unless we're gonna add in YouTube, right?
Oh.
TikTok.
All right. I would say probably 5.
5 hours.
Spread out.
Over. Wow. Okay.
If we're including YouTube, yeah, 5.
Okay. Lydia.
For me, honestly, I think it's double digits. So like, I'm being so serious. Like, I think probably 10 plus. Like, spread out, cause it just I just have so much time in my hands that I don't know. So yeah.
Angel.
Well, let's say for YouTube, when I'm home, that's my everyday thing.
Every day.
Yeah,
So
for the rest,
on an average, with everything else, all the social media platforms, on an average, how many hours do you think?
I would take 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, Susan.
Probably like, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 6 hours.
Okay, yeah. Well, for myself, on an average, I think I do about 4 hours, because I even do it when I'm working, like listening to stuff and now and then. So, my question to you is, do you find this to be, because some of you spend so many hours, including myself, do you find it to be distracting? What are the negative effects you find how social media, being on social media for that long, how does it impact you negatively? Anybody can speak.
Probably like, especially when I'm trying to do like homework, it's it's like when I'm trying to do it and I have to work on like my iPad because most of the time it's like digital homework.
Hmm.
So if I'm working on my iPad, it's like I start to like
Divert.
want to start to like.
And
using
how
social
often does
media.
this happen?
Kind of often. Like, let's say I want to take like a break or something. If I take a break and I go on social media, I'd probably be there for like an hour or so if I want to take a break from homework.
Wow. Okay. So, wow. Any other distractions, any other negatives, how social media has affected you? For myself, I can say sometimes when I come off of social media, I feel drained, right? Because I've been looking at that screen for so long. And another thing that I'll talk about later on is feeling a sort of letdown, or I don't want to say depressed, but probably depressed, But as we go into, we talk about that. So any other negative effects?
One of them I seem to have is lack of sleep, because usually, like on a school day, I would say, okay, I'll be on my phone for 1 hour. When it hits 4 o'clock, I'm gonna do my homework, get it done. Next thing you know, it's like 4:59. You're like, okay, let me do it at 5:30. Then it keeps on spiraling and spiraling. Next thing you know, it's like 10, 11 o'clock, almost near midnight, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have this much homework to do, and I have to wake up like 7 in the morning to get ready for school, make sure all my everything's in check. But yeah, I would say mostly like lack of sleep. Yeah.
So you
sure.
procrastinate, like you don't do wow.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't do your homework, so you procrastinate and you procrastinate and you procrastinate because you're not doing anything else but just looking at
literally
going through the wow.
So yeah.
This is interesting. Anybody else?
Yeah, for me, it makes me to forget stuff.
Forgetful.
Yeah.
So forgetting like what your mom told you, like elaborate for me.
For example, my mom would tell me that, Angel, go and do this, right? I'll be like, Mom, give me a minute first. Let me take a break, and then I will do it for you. It would take me an hour to get off that phone, and then when I get off, then I'm like, was I supposed to do something? I don't remember. What am I supposed to do?
That sounds
Then my
like
mom is
daughter.
like, you were on social media again. I say, yeah. So.
Yeah, that sounds like my daughter. And unfortunately, I think it's a common thing that happens because you use devices for school, and so you trust as parents. Okay, I left you here doing your homework, so I trust you to continue doing your homework and not to divert. But that even with my 12-year-old, it's a big problem. Any other negatives?
For me personally, I feel like peer pressure. Like I could be spending like hours on social media sites like Instagram, Snapchat, and then you would see like a post of like maybe someone dressed up like a model, or their face is a certain way, or even the way that they talk different from opposed to you, and you kind of begin to negatively judge yourself, like you're not good at this, you need to change this, or you need to talk better in this type of way. So it definitely influences you to change the way you feel and think about yourself very negatively, and I've experienced that a lot on a daily basis.
And it's not just only for youth, that it's for adults too. Me myself being an adult, right? So it brings me back to when I use social media, how do I feel, right? Because there's the positives of it, but there's also the negatives of it, which is you try to judge yourself on based on a really unrealistic standard, right? They're showing you what they want you to see and not what really is there, right?
Yeah.
So I get you. We're coming back to that.
Yes.
So Makasi?
As Anja said, like forgetting stuff, like when like you want to do something, because you're on the phone, you say, okay, I will give like some minutes, and then after that, like you don't want to do it anymore because you don't want to miss what happened or what you follow to see what happened, or the video or any other stuff that you're doing on the phone. Because of that, like you forgot your choices, or maybe like you time yourself like to go and pray. Then you say, okay, I will do the prayer later. But after that, like you say, okay, I'm tired. I just want to
Note
go
this down.
sleep.
I need to come back to that prayer aspect of it. You need to pray. You need to spend time with God. And so because of social media,
Yeah.
you don't do that.
It's not like I don't do that. Like I have like specific time. Like let's say, okay, I said I will pray at 9. Then at that time I have like something, maybe like homework, or maybe watching video, or maybe but in Instagram. And then like the time pass, I have a reminder, and I'll be like stop the reminder, and I will continue watch it. And then by the time
Not stop, you ignore the reminder.
by the time it's 10 o'clock, then I get tired. Then I will just like say, like go to sleep. Then when I'm sleep, I'm not in peace, so I have to wake up and then take that time to pray and then go back to sleep later
Okay.
on.
On an average, and this is for everyone here, on an average, um, do you feel like social media cuts into the time that we should spend with God?
110%. Yes.
110%.
Honestly,
So, have you ever delayed prayer, and then you're so tired after scrolling that you say, "Oh God, thank you for today. Thank you, I love you so much," and you go to
yes.
sleep.
Honestly, yeah. And I pray in my head if that's possible. I'll literally be like, okay, then I go to bed. Like, there's been times, and I have to repent on that. It's taken a toll. Like, it's all fun and games, but it's like social media has been like a big toll on my relationship with God because like you're scrolling, next thing you know, you're like, oh, I am so tired. I have no time to do this. Like, God, forgive me. Tomorrow I'll do better. You do the next day happens, God, I'll do better. It's just like a rotation, it's a spiral. It's like you need to break it.
So I'm gonna throw something out there. So if you're on social media and we're Christians, right? And we're following other Christian content creators, and on our timeline it's flooded with preaching and all this other stuff. Do we think that it's a substitute for the actual prayer and spending time with God?
Um, what I would say to that is that um, we're taught that we're taught that our relationship with God is individual. Like, you're not gonna go to heaven based off what other people are posting. Like, it's great to follow them, but like, again, you're judged based off of your own works. And so, yeah, your Instagram is filled with scripture, but like, how also are you living your everyday life? You know what I mean? How are you treating people around you? Are you spending time with God individually? I think that's what matters the most. Like, you could follow all the pastors, all the preachers, but if you are just not also a good person and then you don't take the time to spend with God individually, I don't think that really matters.
Okay, that's a very good point. We have to work it out, our salvation on our own, and not substitute watching preaching or somebody else praying for you, right? And so it brings me to, after all these hours of scrolling on these social media sites, like my weakness will be Instagram. Uh, Don't ask me why. I don't know if because you could do food and all, they make it colorful, they make it engaging. That's my weakness, Instagram. So after you've finished doing all the scrolling, and I want you guys to be honest in your responses, how do you feel?
Not good.
Why?
Why? Because sometimes you don't learn anything from it.
Hmm. You don't learn anything.
Yeah.
It's wasted time.
Yeah.
You're still stuck in your reality
Yeah.
where you have your schoolwork to do. You
Yeah.
still have to pray. You still have to do
Yeah.
all those other things. Your chores pile up.
Exactly.
You're stressed out.
Yeah.
All the things. Somebody else. How do you feel after you've scrolled for so long?
I wouldn't say necessarily like I feel bad, but like, cause like again, it's enjoyment. Like you were saying, like I love to see the food and stuff like that, but I don't feel like fulfilled, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I'm not being filled, but rather like I'm more is being taken out of me because obviously like that's less time spent with God or less time that I could have done something else. So I feel like more is being taken out of my cup rather than being filled, if that makes sense. So I don't necessarily feel bad, but it's like it's not fulfilling, if that makes sense.
Okay. So if it's then not fulfilling, I guess that's another question. Okay, I'm coming back.
Oh, but basically for me, you're just like after all those hours, you're like, dang, I really could have spent it, finishing this amount of
Be more
homework.
productive.
Basically being more productive because like what Eva said, it's like it's not basic. It doesn't feel fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
You like, yeah, you know how to make a cake in like 5 minutes, but like other than that, like what else have you learned from, scrolling for that many hours? So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's basically, yeah. Basically, yeah.
Okay, so anyone else? Like how after going through social media for so long, um, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like empty. It makes me feel like during this period of time, I could have finished this and do other stuff.
Mhm.
Or I could have, like, there's so many more things that I could have done to make myself more productive. And it also makes me feel, like, drained.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, like, sometimes, like, tired. It's like when you're scrolling, you feel, like, so, like, energetic or, like, you don't feel tired. But when you finish, it's like you just want to go to sleep and you just want to be lazy.
Mhm.
So it's like you feel a lot, like you feel drained, like you don't want to do anything else.
Mhm. Now, Michelle, I'm gonna ask you. This is the same question, and you said something that was very important before. You said it makes you feel as if you weren't good enough because of the standards they were portraying out there, like beauty, looking at other people. So, when you're done with social media, right? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel very self-conscious over myself. I think one thing I'll begin to do is maybe think about, oh, let me change the way my appearance looks by going to the beauty salon or trimming my eyebrows, or let me buy a set of eyelashes because I've seen other, female influencers with, eyelashes or a certain type of bag.
Mhm.
And I'll begin to think, okay, let me go and do the same thing. So it's kind of like a sense of self consciousness, the way I look, my appearance,
Mhm.
and even the stuff I have. I'll begin to um, basically not even value them anymore. I'll begin to rather want to value what other people have and try to copy other people's styles because of the way it influenced me negatively.
Yeah, and it can also make you broke.
Yes.
Because if you look at all the really most of it is geared towards marketing as well, right? And so if you see something and then you see something today and especially the beauty products and all this other stuff, right? It makes you go out there and try all of these things, which in the end of it, it could leave you feeling empty, broke, depressed, lack of sleep, lack of energy, and all those negative things. So why is it if we're not fulfilled, we don't feel fulfilled, or is like entertainment is not lasting, right? That good feeling. Why do you think youth spend so much time on social media? I'll give you a minute to think. Oh, you got to answer right away. Go,
Yeah,
go, girl.
I was thinking about it. It's just like it goes back to like it's the new acceptance, you know, to be this certain way or how you look, especially because I'm a big set girl, so I see all these posts of like Instagram models, waist snatch with a big, I can't say it now, but you get the gist of it, you know. And like light skin, you have to have like light skin to be accepted. Like it goes back to all of that. So when you're scrolling through social media, you're just like thinking like, okay, if I go to the gym and I lose a little bit of weight, you know, it's just like
That you feel like it will be, you'll be accepted.
yes.
Hmm.
It just
Well,
goes back to
me and you,
acceptance.
Lydia,
Yes.
we're in the same boat.
Yes,
You
we're on the same boat.
understand? Because
Yeah, I
wasn't
understand.
I wasn't a slim child growing up, so
Yeah.
I know we didn't have social media then. I think it's something. It's just how society views people, right? Because back then I didn't have social media, and it was very something that I had to deal with as a teen. You understand? Being plus size and feeling insecure because back then it was really like magazines. I guess that would be the social media back then, the magazines, and you pass the magazines and you open them and they slim and they suave and they're looking all beautiful, and so you compare yourself um, to them. Okay, so Eva, why do you think if like it's not very fulfilling and it wastes time, Why do you think, even adults, globally, youth everywhere, why do we come back to it?
I think it's because society has just made it so normal. Like when like we went through the whole like pandemic 2 years ago, and like it's become like the normal means of communication,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like if like the first thing when you meet someone and like you're leaving, you're like, oh hey, like what's your Instagram? Like let me grab your Snapchat,
Follow me.
right? Like that's the new thing. It's not like, oh, let me get your phone number. It's literally like, oh, like follow me on Instagram. Like let's keep in touch. Like that's how everyone in society is keeping in touch. And so I think like everyone just wants to keep in touch and be a part of like society and be a part of like what's going on, and even just like means of communication with your friends and stuff. So I think everyone is just trying to catch up with what's going on. So I think, yeah, that's the reason why we keep going back to it, is because it's like you try to tell yourself, oh, it's like, I'm just catching up with my friends, or I'm just like, sharing something with my friend, like the latest meme or whatever. But like, it's not just that at the end of the day.
No problem. I have a question when we get back from the break. We're just going to take a quick break, and we're going to join this conversation, which I'm sure every youth is having a struggle with. Be right back. and welcome back. Again, I'm your host, Jereen Garrison, and we're talking about the negative effects of social media on youth. And just before the break, we were talking to Eva, and she was saying one of the reasons why it's so normally accepted, social media right now is a big way of communication, right? Because I think people like to, as they open their screen, they could be in Ghana, right? Literally. And by lunchtime, they could be in the Caribbean. And by dinner time, they're in Paris, right? Because if you look up those social media influencers who live in those cities, right, you can have the experience without actually having to leave your home. And by the time you wake up again, you're in Japan or China, right? Literally, because you can now, some videos, you walk through the streets of Japan. Like you could just sit down and do that all day, like you're walking on the actual streets. One of the things also from the conversation was unrealistic views or perceptions that social media can give off. And a big one is beauty, right? And we know that some of the beauty standards are really unrealistic. Like, what have you identified when we talk about beauty that you see that's unrealistic now that you're getting a little more educated about it? Anyone?
I would say. So you're saying what beauty standards have we?
Yeah, so we know some stuff are photoshopped,
Right.
right? We know,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if we know some of these stuff are
Yeah.
photoshopped, why still we putting so much pressure on ourselves? We know some of it is the fake hair and
Yeah.
the fake nails and
Yeah.
the fake this and the fake that and the new one that's called the BB.
The BBL.
Right? By the way, this is not godly. Okay? And so if we know that this is false perception of what beauty is because they're altering themselves, how are we being how are we still
So
comparing
normal, or
comparing ourselves to these unrealistic standards?
I think.
Or what have you identified?
Yeah, I think like talking about just like body image and stuff. I think you see it all over. Like companies are like they have a certain standard of beauty or models that they might show, and so I think we just kind of society goes based off of like what they're shown as like the most, like what's popular, right? And so I think that we've just been accustomed to seeing a specific body, a specific look, a specific shade of, and we've kind of deemed that as beautiful or popular or whatever you have it. But like, I think that we're just so normal to it because like everybody does it. Like whether it's in the movies, whether it's in TV, whether it's in like ads and stuff, I think we're just like so used to it.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know if I just answered your question, but like,
You did.
yeah, like we're just so used to it because that's all we see. Like if it's always shown to you, like it's just normal.
And marketing, in a course I took in marketing or even in media, they tailor what we should think, right? And so it is very important that we educate ourselves and other youths as well that don't get caught up in all the razzmatazz and all of this stuff because they sit down. Like marketing,
It's planned.
Like
Like they know what they're doing. They know exactly, like I took marketing. They know exactly what they're doing.
use that
they've-
marketing degree.
They've planned it to where, like to down to the T. Like they know exactly who's watching, what they're looking for. So it's not like, oh, it's a coincidence that they have all light-skinned models who are a size 2. Like no, they planned it out months in advance where they know what's like, what people are looking for.
Yeah, so I have to say, so for anybody who's out there and they're really consumed by social media, really addicted to social media, as you hear, I'll call her our marketing specialist. She has a degree in marketing, and so they plan this stuff. Don't be too hard on yourself, you understand? we are all beautiful in the sight of God, you know, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Because I can say this is pretty, somebody else might say it's not. And don't be so hard on yourself when you're scrolling through and realize that there's reality and there's social media. Things are tailored, you understand? So another thing that I want to touch on, has anyone been exposed to on social media bullying? Or if it's not you personally, you have seen their social media bullying, and how did that make you feel? Because some of it will make you pack up shop, unsubscribe, but we still like look at it.
I would say like mainly on, it's been so much on TikTok. Like, oh my gosh, there have been like trends of like, oh, this is me before and this is me after, like all my makeup, and you literally go down to the comments and they're like, like
Very toxic
like
stuff.
very
Yeah.
like backhanded compliments, like, oh, she's okay, like, or like something like so mean and hurtful, and you're just like, oh, she has like same nose type as me, she has this like same almond eyes as me, like what happens if I post it? Are people gonna have the same reaction to that? So that's basically one of the things like I haven't experienced, but seeing like other girls like who look kind of like me, like it's made me scared to really show like who I am, and you know,
Right.
So
So
yeah.
if you wanted to use the social media for a positive, it makes you not want to do it because they can be bullying. And yeah, some of the comments are quite vicious.
Yeah.
And so again, as children of God, we have to filter, right? And some of these things we shouldn't even subscribe to, some certain people we shouldn't even be following, right? Because there's positives to social media, but if we know there's lots of negative stuff, we shouldn't even go there. Let's not open our mind to it. So has anybody personally been a victim of bullying on social media, or a friend? That's a good thing. Angel, like, well, Angel, you have a story for us?
Telling me that I don't look good, that I cannot fit in. Yeah.
Yeah, telling
I
you
went
you
to
don't
it.
look good and you're not
Yeah, I
fitting.
cannot fit in, and I'll never fit in. I think it's because that I was trying to fit in at that time. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about how acceptance is.
Or being
Yeah,
yourself.
being myself.
Mhm.
So I wanted to do what everyone was doing. So when they told me that, I was like, oh, wow. So this is how it feels.
And they
to
did this
not-
on social media?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it hurt. It still hurts.
It still hurts.
But I had to let go of it.
Yeah. God has his way of
Yeah.
healing us, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's no real remedy for it other than to just restrict as much, you know. We can't control how people view us or think about us or whatever, but we can definitely control how we behave, right? And so always try to be yourself. That's my advice. So anybody else has any experience they would like to share? Or when you see this bullying, how does this make you feel? So it makes you want to run away from social media, but yet the first thing in the morning, some of us, not all of us, well, that's the first thing we run to.
For me, I've seen a lot of, like, I won't say like the certain group, but I've seen a lot of people who have gotten like hate for the way that they like express themselves or the way that they look, and
How God made them, right?
Yes, how God made
Yeah,
them.
they get
So
hate for that. Yeah.
I've seen many people take like a lot of surgery on themselves to make them fit in and to make people like be happy on social media. But then when I look at it again, I've seen that nobody can ever be satisfied with how a certain person looks. And when I see those type of haters, it makes me feel like they might not also like themselves and take that on somebody else. So when I look at social media, it's like it's not always good, but like I still go back to it anyways.
Yeah, because it is the norm, and there are positives to it that we will look at some other time. But definitely, what advice then would you give to youths that are struggling with this social media addiction? This is what I will call it, because it's embedded so much in our life that, as you said, some of you forgot to do things and has lost sleep, and I'm pretty sure you hand in work that is not suitable for proper grading, right? You're like mediocre schoolwork. So what advice, because we have experienced it personally, would you give to other youths to avoid or stay away, or what advice in all you can give youths about the negatives of social media?
I guess what I would say, social media, like you said, has its positives. But I think when you are going on social media, the biggest advice I would say is like, go on it knowing who you are, go on it knowing who God has made you to be. Because when you're strong and you know who you are,
Yeah.
like whatever you see on social media, like it won't change you. Like, yeah, your friend got, a car, or okay, yeah, your friend, went on a trip, but maybe God's timing for you right now is not to have that, or to to be there. Just being strong and understanding that your timing will come, and God has so many other plans for you. So don't be swayed by what you see on social media, what your friends are posting. Just be faithful and trust that God has a plan for you. And again, be strong in like who you are. Like, understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Stand on the promises of God, and I think you can't be swayed by what you see.
I need advice for one more person before we wrap this up.
For me, I would say that you're different. Everyone is different. You can never be the other person. It doesn't matter what they tell you. I'm different from you. You are different from me. And I know how beautiful I am. I know how beautiful you are. If the world are telling that you're beautiful, I should tell myself that I'm beautiful.
Absolutely.
Then
They call it self-love, but I call it God love.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And first I would say, God love me, that's why I'm here. So why is it that someone else is telling me that I should be this, I should be that? Your opinion doesn't matter. Opinion should never matter to your life.
Yeah. God's opinion is that one that matters. And of course, know who you are in Christ. That's with my closing comments. Know who you are. Know who God has made you. And even the things you see on social media, it won't move you. So we're just wrapping it up for today. Thank you for viewing, and see you next time as we say bye-bye to Ask JP.